So as you know, we'll be continuing our discussion about Sri Ramakrishna's life. So we have already, last two discussions we had about his superhuman spiritual practices, his spiritual journey we covered in brief. So just a little recapitulation, just a few photos. I'll show you again what we had seen last time. So first we had seen that he had practiced the way of Islam, the religion of Islam. So here we see a painting that Sri Ramakrishna is being initiated by his Guru. Then another painting, Sri Ramakrishna reciting prayers in the Muslim fashion. This is the place at Dakshineshwar where he practiced his sadhana. And this is the mosque which he crossed when he was returning from Kali Ghat to Dakshineshwar once, and he saw a Muslim aspirant there and he embraced him. This we know is Jadu Malik's garden house. This is the painting in Jadu Malik's place, seeing which Sri Ramakrishna went into ecstasy, and then he saw that he was being flooded with ideas of Christ and Christianity, and all other ideas were vanishing from his mind. This is depicted through a painting that Sri Ramakrishna having a vision of Christ. This is the church in Calcutta which Sri Ramakrishna visited, Holy Trinity Church, and this is the interior of that church. Then finally Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta sadhana. So this is the cottage in which he practiced. Of course, all this is gone now. They have just destroyed the whole thing and built some other thing there in Dakshineshwar. So this is gone forever. This is another view of that cottage where Totapuri initiated Sri Ramakrishna into Vedanta sadhana. Then this is a beautiful painting depicting that Sri Ramakrishna had gone into the highest samadhi, and Totapuri, when he opened the door, he found him in that state. So all this we have seen last time. Now today we will start from the culmination of his sadhana which was there, that after discussing that event, special event which is known as the Shodashi Puja, then we will go to his various pilgrimages. So this happened first in 1867. Sri Ramakrishna had gone to Kamarpukur accompanied by Hriday and Bhairavi Brahmani for a change. Master stayed at Kamarpukur for 6 or 7 months there, and after what he had gone through, the stormy days of his sadhana, it was a great relaxation for him. And when he was in Kamarpukur at that time, then Sarda Devi, who was just a girl of 14 years then, she was then staying at Jairambati with her father. So she was also called when Sri Ramakrishna came to Kamarpukur. She was also called to Kamarpukur at that time. So Sri Ramakrishna regained some of his health because peaceful environment of Kamarpukur, clean environment. And then afterwards, staying there for about 6 or 7 months, he returned with Hriday to Dakshineshwar. 4 years passed after that, and then again some rumors reached Kamarpukur that Sri Ramakrishna had gone mad. He was just shouting, Mother, Mother, etc. So Sarda Devi, when she heard those rumors, she thought she would go to Dakshineshwar and see for herself. So with her father, she started for Dakshineshwar, and that time, it was a long journey, bullock carts and on foot and all that. So starting with her father, she reached Dakshineshwar in March 1872. Then she was with Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna now started training her. He taught her a wide range of subjects from housekeeping right to the highest spiritual realization as we can imagine. Now, a couple of months after Holy Mother's arrival in Dakshineshwar, there arose a desire in Sri Ramakrishna's mind. That was to worship Sarda Devi as the Divine Mother herself. This happened on the new moon of June 5th, 5th of June 1872. And new moon, it is auspicious night for worshipping the Divine Mother, worshipping Kali. So Sri Ramakrishna this time, he did not go to the temple, but he made arrangements for the worship in his own room and instructed the Holy Mother to come there at a particular time. So Sarda Devi entered at 9 p.m. and Sri Ramakrishna took the place of the priest, worshipper. And who was worshipped? Holy Mother was worshipped as the Divine Mother. So Sri Ramakrishna went through the regular worship in which Holy Mother took the place of the deity. And during the ceremony, both she and the master went into a super conscious state. And at dead of night, the master partially recovered consciousness. And then with the appropriate mantras, he surrendered himself and the fruits of all his sadhana at the feet of Holy Mother, who was the divine, who he worshipped as the Divine Mother, and then bowed down to her. So with this sacred ceremony called in the Tantras Shodashi Puja or worship of the Divine Mother Tripura Sundari, she has many names. So this was the culmination of Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual practices. He had nothing more to achieve, as he had passed through all the possible stages. So this was when he surrendered everything to the Divine Mother, worshipping the Divine Mother in the body of Holy Mother herself, who, as we believe, was none other than Divine Mother in a human body. So I'll just share. Naturally, we don't have any photographs of that worship. Nobody was there at that time, except the worshipper and the worship. So, but we still have the seat on which Holy Mother had sat. That wooden seat is still there. So I'll just share photo with you. So this, of course, we all know, so this is the photograph of Holy Mother. And this is a beautiful painting depicting the Shodashi Puja. How it might have looked like at that time. And this is the seat, it is still there, on which Holy Mother had sat when Sri Ramakrishna had worshipped her. Fortunately, we still have those things. So now let us go to Sri Ramakrishna's pilgrimages. As for Shodashi Puja, there were three results, you can say, of that worship. It was a very important event. So by that, first, it is said that Sri Ramakrishna awakened Holy Mother's divinity and manifested his own spiritual relation with her, because it was not an ordinary relation of husband-wife. And also, he made clear the role she would play in the future in his divine mission. So by performing the puja with Holy Mother as the deity, he also told us that Adya Shakti actually had taken the form of Holy Mother. She was not an ordinary woman. So now we can go to the pilgrimages of Sri Ramakrishna, and there are very, very beautiful places and some very wonderful photographs we will share. So first, about the significance of pilgrimages, you see, in India especially, and of course all over the world to some extent, spiritual aspirants go for pilgrimages. Christians go to where? Jerusalem, and Muslims also go to Mecca and all that. So Hindus have innumerable places. There is not one but hundreds. So through the ages, spiritual aspirants go to these places, and it works two ways. They benefit from the spiritual atmosphere which exists in those places, and by their sadhana there and by their holy thoughts there, they also contribute to the atmosphere which is there. So it works both ways. And ordinary people also, when we go to these places, such is the tangible atmosphere we can feel. Like I was in Vrindavan myself for 2 years. So you can actually feel, it cannot be expressed, but it is unbelievable that the atmosphere which is there. So Sri Ramakrishna himself says that although God dwells everywhere equally, he manifests more in holy places. One can get water by digging in any spot, but one does not need to dig where there is a well, a pool, a pond, or a lake. Anywhere you dig, finally you can get water. But if there is a lake, then why dig for it? It is readily available. So this is the way in which he expresses the significance of making pilgrimages, and also he tells us how pilgrim centers are holy. So we discussed the Shodashi Puja now, but before that, before the Shodashi Puja, 4 years before that, Sri Ramakrishna first went to a pilgrimage with Mathur and his wife. So this was in 1868 and Shodashi Puja was in 1872. So Mathur and his wife arranged for a pilgrimage to northern India and wanted Sri Ramakrishna to accompany them. So at their earnest request, the master consented to be one of the party. They started on 27th January. First, they went to Devghar to visit the shrine of Vaidyanath. Vaidyanath is the name of Shiva. So there is a temple very famous temple of Shiva in Devghar. I have also gone there. So I'll just share some photographs again of that place. This is the temple from the outside, and you can see the number of pilgrims. And the image of Shiva also, we have a photograph. This is the image of Shiva. So I've gone there once, but I made a vow that I will never go there again. It was so terribly crowded. Mane, you feel you are absolutely crushed. You just stand at the gate, farther from the gate, you don't have to do anything. You just stand, and the the push from behind will take you. Hmm. But after, when you reach there, it is very difficult to get out. I mean, the hundreds of people climbing on top of you, my God, as if you'll suffocate. The- So, yeah, Jagannath have gone there, but Jagannath did not experience in such a, we could easily, maybe it was a good luck there. So anyway, this is the situation because it's a very famous pilgrim center, you see. So now, of course, Sri Ramakrishna must have had the darshan of Shiva and all that in the temple. But another very important event occurred. One day when Sri Ramakrishna was passing through a neighboring village there, he was greatly distressed to see the extreme poverty which existed in that village. People had hardly sufficient to eat and to wear. So now Sri Ramakrishna told Mathur. Mathur was a very rich person, we know. So Mathur was told by Sri Ramakrishna that you are the steward of the Divine Mother. What you have should be spent for her worship. Now you have to feed all these poor people and give them clothing, etc. So Mathur thought, my God, the whole village. So he said to Sri Ramakrishna, we've just started and pilgrimage will cost a lot of money and there are so many people. So we will run short then. But Sri Ramakrishna was not to be moved. He said, he began to, he was shedding tears seeing the plight of those people. So he said, okay, he said to Mathur, okay, if that is your attitude, I am not going to Varanasi. I am not going with you anymore. I will remain with these people only. So now what could Mathur do? Nothing to be done. So then immediately he ordered from Calcutta, bales of cloth and all that, huge quantity. And he distributed amongst those poor people and fed them nicely. Then only Sri Ramakrishna agreed to proceed with him. So that's a very important incident. And this compassion of Sri Ramakrishna serving God and human beings we see in later in Swami Akhandananda's life, which we have discussed briefly once. So now let us go to Varanasi. Varanasi is Varanasi. There is no comparison to that place. And I am also fortunate to have gone there also. So innumerable temples, innumerable monasteries, innumerable pilgrim centers, and it has a 2-mile long embankment on the Ganga, which consists of so many bathing ghats and wide steps, and its roads are decorated with beautiful stone gates. Monasteries and garden houses are plenty, and many almshouses are there, which they give alms to Brahmins, student monks, and all that. So about Varanasi, Swami Sardananda writes This magnificent city of Shiva was constructed in ancient times by people from all parts of India who spent their fortunes on it. Who would not be impressed when encountering the tremendous current of spirituality in this city and be overwhelmed when trying to trace its origin? And who would not be wonder-struck and affirm with heartfelt devotion and humility that this holy city of Varanasi is indeed incomparable? Truly, it was not built by human beings. It came into existence through the infinite compassion of Lord Vishwanath, refuge of the helpless, the poor, and deliverer of the afflicted. It is no wonder that after arriving in Varanasi, the master, who was almost all the time in a very high spiritual mood, saw a divine and luminous spiritual current pervading the entire city of Shiva, and he also experienced its solid gross form as golden Varanasi. So he saw the whole city was made of gold, as it were. So again, I will share some photos. Here we can see through color, it has been, it has been colored in such a way that it appears golden. This is one of the bathing ghats of Varanasi. And some old photos. This is Varanasi in 1890. Not very far away from the time when Sri Ramakrishna had visited it. So, and this is also a very old photo, 1890, same year, and it shows the path to the temple of Vishwanath. You can see there on the left hand side this golden colored building. That is the Vishwanath temple. So pilgrims used to go on this way. So this is a very old photograph, and I got it from Swami Chetanandaji's book, that is the biography of the master, which is a recent book. So the master had wonderful visions and experiences there, which convinced him of the greatness of Shiva and of the glory of this great city, of this holy city. So as his boat, they were all making the journey by boat. So as their boat crossed the Ganga and approached Varanasi, he actually saw in a vision that the city was made of gold. Gold means, in a spiritual sense, there was no clay or stone in Varanasi, it was all gold. And the subtle form of the city had been made golden by the love and devotion of innumerable devotees visiting that place. So while staying in Varanasi, Sri Ramakrishna went by palanquin. He could not walk much. So palanquin he used, and almost daily he went to the temple of Lord Vishwanath. Hridaya accompanied him. So considering that merely traveling to the temple put the master into ecstasy, what can we say of his visit to the deity? I mean, what he experienced in the temple only he knows. So although he went into ecstasy in all the temples of Varanasi he visited, but the most deepest ecstasy he experienced in the temple of Kedarnath. I don't know whether you people have gone there, but yeah, so Kedarnath, I went there after reading all this. So I'll just share some photos again. First, we will see the photograph of the Vishwanath temple and then the Kedar temple. Yeah, this is the place 1890, as I told you. This is the photo of Vishwanath temple, that is the presiding deity, that is the main temple in Varanasi. And this is from inside. This is the Shivalinga or Shiva, which is worshipped by millions of people.
Somebody was poking me.
So this is the Kedarnath temple, which you see here. This is the Kedarnath temple, in which Sri Ramakrishna experienced the deepest ecstasy. And this place is known as the Kedar Ghat. This photograph is from 1977, about 45 years ago. This is also a photograph of Kedar Ghat. So Mathur stayed in the white building far left. On the left side, you can see a white building. There, Mathur Babu had stayed. So this is a very old photograph. This dates back to 1915. More than 100 years ago, this was taken. And of course, here also there is the temple of Annapurna. This goddess is none other than the primordial power, like Shiva Shakti. So Swami Sardananda ji says about Annapurna that the Divine Mother Annapurna, the Shakti of Shiva, dwells in Varanasi eternally. She provides food to nourish people's physical and vital sheaths and also spirituality to nourish their mental, intellectual, and blissful sheaths. Thus, she speedily brings liberation, the knowledge of oneness with Lord Vishwanath to everybody there. So I'll again share two photographs of this Annapurna deity and temple. This is the deity, so you can see a close-up as well as from a little far off. This is the deity from another view. This is a more recent picture. So it looks like Annapurna is also giving alms to Shiva himself. Here you can see. Now, next we come to a wonderful vision which Sri Ramakrishna had in Varanasi. Where did he have this vision? At Manikarnika Ghat. Manikarnika Ghat actually is a cremation ground. Those who died cremated there.
So that's the most famous.
So what happened one day, Mathur took Thakur on a boat trip along the banks of the Ganga. On a boat you can see all the temples and all there. So Manikarnika is the main cremation ground of Varanasi. Now, when that boat, which carried Sri Ramakrishna, when it approached Manikarnika Ghat, the master's face expressed ecstatic joy at the sight, and he began to feel a tremendous spiritual fervor automatically. Then, in the boats, they have a covering. People sit inside. So he emerged outside when they were approaching Manikarnika Ghat. He emerged outside and walked over to the bow of the boat where he went into Samadhi. So, fearing that he might fall down, Mathur's guide and boatmen all ran to catch him. But they did not have done that because the master remained calm. He remained standing, calm and absolutely motionless, with a wonderful smile on his face. So this remained for some time, and Mathur and Hriday stood beside the master so that if there is any imbalance, they can catch him. So when the master's samadhi came to an end sometime later, everybody disembarked at Manikarnika Ghat. Then they had their bath there, performed some puja, and then returned to the port and continued their journey. But what exactly the master experienced, that we are very lucky that Sri Ramakrishna himself narrated that experience afterwards. So before we come to the experience, just let us see some photographs of that place for those who have not gone there. I will show you from various angles. Some I got from the book of Chitnanandji, some from the internet. So this is one photograph, Manikarnika Ghat from a distance. And this is a very old photograph. This is again 1890. So more than 120 years ago, this is what the Ghat looked like. This we have got thanks to Swami Chetananandji. And this is a very recent photograph which I downloaded. This is at night. And one close-up where people are burning their So this you can see that bodies are being burnt at that ghat. So now, what exactly did the master experience there? He described it. You see, many saints and many scriptures have told us that anybody who dies in Varanasi, he attains liberation. Whatever that person may have done, by the grace of Shiva, he attains liberation. That Tulsidas ji has said, Surdas ji has said, many other saints have said, in many songs there it is there. And many scriptures also it is there. Kashi Khanda, there is a Kashi Khanda, so it is all mentioned there. But nowhere it is mentioned actually how it takes place. Sri Ramakrishna was the first person who saw it happening in his spiritual experience, and he first describes it, what actually happens. So, when a person dies, then what happens? He saw, and he narrated it. So, in his words, I will quote him: I saw a tall white figure with tawny matted hair, that is the figure of Shiva, as you can understand, steadily approach each funeral pyre, carefully raise each individual soul from the body which he had given up, and whisper into its ear the particular name of Brahman that liberates a soul. But problem is, even if we hear, ordinary person, even if he hears that mantra, nothing will happen. Why? Because we are tied down by our own karma. So even though the mantra goes into a ear, but there is no experience because of our karma through ages and ages and ages that prevents us from gaining that experience. So here, what was Shiva doing about that? That also he tells us. So Shiva was giving the mantra, and seated on the opposite side of the pyre, of the funeral pyre, he saw the all-powerful divine Mother Kali. What was she doing? She was untying the gross, subtle and causal knots of bondage which had bound that individual's soul. So as soon as the bondage of karma was removed, Shiva's mantra was heard by that soul. And since there was no more karma to bind him, his mind had become absolutely pure. As soon as he or she received the Brahma mantra, that soul was liberated. So, Kali untied the gross, subtle and causal knots of bondage of each individual soul, thus sending the soul to the Absolute by opening the gate of liberation. Lord Vishwanath was blessing those souls by bestowing in an instant the experience of non-dual infinite bliss that people can attain only after ages of concentration and austerity. So unfortunately, Shiva is very, very partial. Unless we go and die in Kashi, very little chance of attaining liberation. Yeah. So this was the wonderful vision which he had and which has not been mentioned anywhere, by any person. And he also not only visited the temples, but he also visited the great monks of Varanasi who was there. The greatest among them was the famous Trailanga Swami. So Trailanga Swami, Sri Ramakrishna himself went to see him, but the Swami was then observing a vow of silence. So he did not actually speak with Sri Ramakrishna, but he called Sri Ramakrishna and asked him to take a seat. And as a monk, he had nothing, so he took out his snuff box and offered to Sri Ramakrishna as a mark of respect. And the master also invited the Swami, Telanga Swami, to the home of Mathur. And it is said that the Swami had gone there. And the master had fed him with great respect and all that. So we don't have any photograph of Telanga Swami, unfortunately, very, very unfortunate. It could have been taken because we have photographs of that time. So, but it is unfortunate that there is no photograph, but I will show you a painting of that Swami. Here you can see. This painting is the one which is shown everywhere. There is no other painting. So from here we can have an idea of how this great saint looked like. And Sri Ramakrishna with his divine eye could see, the greatness. He could recognize the greatness of this very, very highly spiritual soul. So fortunately, we have from the master's own lips, he gave a description of his visit. So I quote him again. I found in Telanga Swami the living manifestation of Vishwanath, that is Shiva himself. Varanasi was sanctified and made vibrant by his presence. He was in an exalted state of knowledge. He had no body consciousness. The sand there gets so hot in the sun that no one can even walk on it. But he lay on it comfortably. That burning sand of Varanasi, my God. I cooked rice pudding and brought it with me to feed him. At that time, he couldn't speak to me because he had taken a vow of silence. So I asked him by signs whether God was one or many. Sri Ramakrishna is asking him, just imagine. He replied in the same manner, through silence he replied. So what was Telanga Swami reply? His reply was that God is known to be one when a person enters into the state of samadhi. But as long as there is consciousness of I, you, Jiva and the world, God is perceived as many. So this is the great Vedantic truth that people also often we find people debating whether God is one or many. It depends upon the state in which we are. Then Sri Ramakrishna pointed to Telanga Swami and told Hriday, in him you see the condition of a true knower of Brahman. So that was the high praise which Sri Ramakrishna had showered upon his great soul. So before seeing the photographs of other temples, we can just see the place where Sri Ramakrishna had stayed in Varanasi. So I'll just share two photographs. This is Thakur's residence at Kedarghat. We have seen it from a distance, that white building. So this is the same building taken from, the photo taken from inside. And this is the gate to the residence. Of course, now this is a recent photograph. So this photograph was taken in 1977. So naturally everything has changed. And this is the inside of the room where Sri Ramakrishna had stayed. So here also when I had gone there, I had the opportunity to see all these places. So this is how the room looks like now. So after about a week's stay in Varanasi, the whole party now moved to Allahabad. Why is Allahabad sacred? Why is it a pilgrim center? Because there, that is the place of Triveni Sangam. Sangam means joining. So three rivers join there. Ganga meets the Yamuna, and they say that it also meets the Saraswati. But Saraswati is not visible, it is a mythical river. It has, they say that it has dried up more than 4,000 years ago. Hmm. But it is known as the Triveni Sangam because the three met there at some period of time. And here the famous Kumbh Mela also takes place every 12 years. Hmm. So after staying here for 3 days, the party returned to Varanasi. But again, I will share some photographs of this Triveni Sangam for those who have not gone there. I have also not visited Triveni Sangam. So this first photograph is of the pilgrims, offering, worshipping through the waters of the sacred river. And this is a photograph of the Prayagraj fort at Allahabad. And this is a panoramic view of the Triveni Sangam where the three rivers are supposed to meet. And here we find in this photograph, you will see below, if you see, you will note the change in color. See, there are two colors. One is greenish.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it is very clear in the photograph, you can see. One is greenish and one blue. So one is Ganga and one is Yamuna. So here,
There is Bhagirathi until there. It becomes Ganga from that point.
yeah.
That is from the glacier, that color.
So this I got from the internet after searching and searching. I could find this color change. So very interesting to see. So now we come to another very, very great pilgrim center which Ramakrishna visited and where I had the wonderful good fortune to stay for 2 years also. So there is no place like that. That is Vrindavan. So at the end of a fortnight, the master and his party went to Vrindavan, and it is such a holy place that during his stay there, Sri Ramakrishna was always in a very, very high spiritual mood. The sacred place, rich in countless sweet memories of Krishna, constantly filled his heart with spiritual emotion. Even the slightest suggestion was enough to plunging into a bhava or samadhi or whatever you can call it. It was with great difficulty that he managed to keep his emotions under control. Of course, he visited most of the important temples and places connected with Krishna. Sri Ramakrishna himself mentions them we see in the biography. What are those places? Only some we can mention. Nidhuvan. I will give the narration and photographs of each of these places. Nidhuvan, Banke Bihari Temple, Kalia Daman Ghat, Sham Kund and Radha Kund, Govardhan, the hill which Shri Krishna is supposed to have lifted, Dhruva Ghat in Mathura. So we will all see the photographs of all these places. And Mathur Babu arranged for a palanquin for the master because he could not walk such a great distance. So now we will narrate Sri Ramakrishna's experiences about particular places, and after that we will see photographs of those places so that we can link. So first experience, Sri Ramakrishna, I quote him, he says, "One undoubtedly finds inspiration in a holy place. I accompanied Mathur Babu to Vrindavan. Hriday and the ladies of Mathur's family were in our party. No sooner did I see the Kalia Daman Ghat then a divine emotion surged up within me. I was completely overwhelmed. So Kaliya Daman Ghat means what? Daman means to kill, wipe off. So where that great serpent Kaliya was there, he was making that whole place poisonous, that river where he lived. So Krishna is supposed to have killed that huge serpent, and also he's supposed to have danced on his many heads. So anyway, this is the Kaliya Daman Ghat. I'll just share it. I've seen all those places by God's grace, and since I was there for a long period, I've seen this many, many times. I mean, those who can go should really go once at least. This is the Kaliya Daman Ghat. This is supposed to be this. Now, problem is the Yamuna has receded now. There is very little water in the Yamuna there. So at one time it was overflowing that place. Now you can see very little water.
Season, it becomes almost about 50 kilometers wide. That is how much water there was at the.
So next we come to Nidhuvan. Now, those who have, of course, most of you have read, those who have read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, they know that Sri Ramakrishna used to keep the sacred dust of Vrindavan in his room. It is supposed to be so sacred. So from where exactly was that taken in Vrindavan? Vrindavan is a huge place. From where exactly was that taken? It was taken from Nidhuvan. That is the significance of Nidhuvan. So Nidhuvan is the place where Shri Krishna is supposed to have danced with the gopis. And Nidhuvan was very close to the place where Sri Ramakrishna had stayed in Vrindavan. He had stayed at a place known as Faujdar Kunj. So we will first see the photographs of that place where Sri Ramakrishna had stayed, and then the photographs of Nidhuvan also. So this is the one photo of Faujdar Kunj. You can see all these places if you go there. Still it is there. This is the courtyard of the place, and this is the inside where Sri Ramakrishna had stayed. This is the place, it is the room in which Sri Ramakrishna had stayed. Now we can see the photographs of Nidhuvan itself. First we will see from an elevated view from top. This is the place. It's, there's a wall all around it, and at night they close it. At night nobody is allowed to go there because they believe that Shri Krishna will come and again spend time with the gopis there. And this is one of the pathways. Devotees cleaning the place. They come and clean it every day. So this is Nidhuvan, but here you have to be careful of the monkeys. My God, hundreds and thousands of monkeys are there. Everybody is asked to open their spectacles and put in their pocket. You will just come and take, and
Anything that is
shiny or anything which you can eat, they will not leave at all. So this is Nidhuvan, and here in Vrindavan, Sri Ramakrishna met a very, very highly spiritual realized saint called Ganga Mai. She was an old Vaishnava sadhika living in Nidhuvan, and her cottage was on the left side of the Nidhuvan on the way to the Radharaman temple. There is a road which goes to the temple. So she was supposed to have been a perfected soul, and she was such a high soul, so she also recognized who Sri Ramakrishna was. So she became very, very devoted to the master, and the master also very much liked to be in her company. So much so that he planned not to return at all. He planned that he would stay in Vrindavan itself. Such was the attraction of the place. So, in his own words, we will just see what happened then. I'll quote him. So, he says, Ganga Mai became very fond of me in Vrindavan. She was an old woman who lived all alone in a hut near the Nidhuvan. Referring to my spiritual condition and ecstasy, she said, he is the very embodiment of Radha. She addressed me as Dulali. When with her, I used to forget my food and drink, my bath, and all thought of going home. On some days, Hriday used to bring food from home and feed me. Gangamai also would serve me with food prepared with her own hands. Gangamai used to experience ecstasy. At such times, a great crowd would come to see her. I didn't want to leave her and return to Calcutta. Everything was arranged for me to stay with her. All the arrangements had been made. Now Hriday was very worried. He said, my God, if the master stays here, then what will happen to us at Dakshineshwar? So he told the master, you have such a weak stomach, who will take care of you, who will feed you? But Gangamai said, no problem, I shall feed him, I shall look after him, I'll cook for him. So it came to that Hriday was dragging master by the one hand and Gangamai by the other hand. But then what happened was, Sri Ramakrishna remembered his mother. His mother was still at Dakshineshwar. So he says that I remembered my mother who was then living alone in the Nahambat of the temple garden of Dakshineshwar. Then I found it impossible to stay away from her, and then he returned to Dakshineshwar. But he loved, we can imagine how much he liked Vrindavan that he once thought of remaining there itself. So such is the place, and those who can go, it is very nice if you can go and spend at least, but you have to spend some time there. I mean, just go 2 or 3 days, it won't help. Some time if you stay there, and if you have someone to show around, and it's unbelievable. I mean, you cannot explain it. I was very lucky that I could stay there for so many days. So now again some spots in Vrindavan of which Sri Ramakrishna said, and we will also see some photographs. So first is Radha Kund and Sham Kund. Sri Ramakrishna said, I went to Sham Kund and Radha Kund in a palanquin and got out to visit the holy Mount Govardhan. At the very side of the mountain, I was overpowered with divine emotion and ran to the top. I lost all consciousness of the world around me. The residents of that place helped me to come down. On my way to the sacred pools of Sham Kund and Radha Kund, when I saw the meadows, the trees, the shrubs, the birds, and the deer, I was overcome with ecstasy. My clothes became wet with tears. I said, O Krishna, everything here is as it was in the olden days. You alone are absent. Seated beside the palanquin, I lost all power of speech. So this was the condition of Sri Ramakrishna there. So we will just see some photographs of Sham Kund, Radha Kund, and also Govardhan mountain. First, I will share the image of Radha. We sit there in Nidhuvan because Radha is supposed to be, chief gopi. So this is the image of Radha in Nidhuvan, and now we will. This is the Radha Kund. Kund means lake. So Radha Kund, and actually they are, contiguous, so to say. Radha Kund and Sham Kund is the same. So here we can see both Radha Kund as well as Sham Kund. And then this is the huge mountain which Sri Krishna had supposed to have lifted on his little finger. Govardhan mountain. Many hundreds of paintings are there depicting Sri Krishna, so we can just see one of them. Sri Krishna lifting the Govardhan. It has been depicted in so many ways, in so many songs, in so many stories. We cannot even imagine. Such a rich spiritual tradition is there. So next, he also visited the Dhruva Ghat. Now Dhruva has been mentioned in the Bhagavata Purana. He was a very little boy, but he performed great austerities and he received the vision of Vishnu. So this ghat is named after him. It is called Dhruva Ghat. Shri Ramakrishna said, I went to Vrindavan with Mathur Babu. The moment I came to the Dhruva Ghat at Mathura, in a flash I saw Vasudev crossing the Yamuna with Krishna in his arms. So I will just share the photo of first we see the cows returning, in the evening when cows used to return from grazing. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that, oh Krishna, everything is here, you are not there. So this is one photograph of Vrindavan when the cows are returning from grazing. This is the Dhruva Ghat. Here you can see. Here Sri Ramakrishna had the vision of Vasudev crossing the river. Vasudev had taken, from Mathura to Vrindavan. So maybe this is the place where he is supposed to have crossed. I don't know. So then we come to his visit to the Pake Bihari temple. It's a very, very prominent temple of Vrindavan. Two temples, Radharaman and Pake Bihari. We've gone there so many times, oh my God. So when he saw that image of Bake Bihari, that image seemed so alive to Sri Ramakrishna that he ran to embrace. Just imagine. So I will share two photographs of Krishna is called Bake Bihari ji there. It's a different world. I mean, we cannot even imagine sitting here what type of atmosphere is there. So two photographs are there. One is from the outside. This from the outside. Very small it is written, you can read on that signboard is there. Bake Bihari ji. Maharaj, I think it is written after that. And this is the actual image. This is the actual image. And every day they have floral arrangements for the whole temple. Every day new arrangement. It costs so much heavy, but many devotees are there, rich people of that place, and also outside, from outside they send money. So every day, hundreds of flowers, the whole temple is covered. The smell, my God, you cannot even imagine. Oh my God. So I cannot describe it. It is to be experienced only. So this is Bihariji. It is just called Bihariji there. So next is, yeah. Oh, this is wonderful. He is supposed to have seen the Yamuna Aarti. It is those who have gone to, I have seen Ganga Aarti in Kankal, Haridwar. You can never forget it. I mean, and Yamuna Aarti is also very similar. So fortunately, I could get a very, very nice video of that Aarti. Once you see it, then it is really wonderful. So first I will just share the image of that ghat where this Aarti is performed. That is called Vishram Ghat. Vishram means rest. So this is the place where this Aarti is performed. Yamuna. And now for the actual Aarti is really wonderful. So it is a 4-minute video. We can see some portions of it at least. So now what is next? Let me see. Yeah, I'll just share another photo of this arati here you can see. Looks so beautiful. So now from Vishram Ghat, we'll just see some photographs of very important temples which it has not been mentioned by Sri Ramakrishna particularly, but those are very, very important temples. That is Madan Mohan and Radha Raman. So all these take me back to those days. Vrindavan. Another photograph of Arti, you can see. So first we'll just see Radha Raman temple. This is Radha Raman temple. These are not very far from where our ashrama is, so we used to go regularly, just walking distance. This is the Radharaman deity. This is the Krishna in that temple. Two photographs I will show. This is one. This is another. Every day you can see different decorations and all that. It is it's really wonderful. Then after this, Madan Mohan, it is not, the photograph is not there in this folder. So anyway, Madan Mohan we can see afterwards. I think I forgot to put it in the folder. So after Vrindavan, Sri Ramakrishna visited Mathura also. Mathura, birthplace of Krishna. Have you ever gone to Mathura? Yeah. So those who have gone, So here also Sri Ramakrishna had very high spiritual experiences, but not much is mentioned by himself about Mathura. At least there is not much on record. From there, Master returned with everybody to Varanasi, where they stayed till May. And Mathur Babu wanted to go to Gaya also, but Sri Ramakrishna did not want to go there because he is supposed to have incarnated from Gaya. That vision Khudiram had was in Gaya. So Sri Ramakrishna said that if he went there again, he would leave the body. So he did not go there. So they returned to Calcutta. This is the story in brief of Sri Ramakrishna's pilgrimage. So let us end here, but before the question answer, there is no question answer is there today. What is there to question? I will show you a very wonderful video. So those who are online, please don't leave. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Namastu.